The race to join Team Dignitas in the grand finals of the HGC Western Clash begins here at IEM Katowice. Only 3 teams are left to try to join them, and only one of them will get to do it. And now we start the race to find out who that'll be. I'm Gillyweed, your host, here with Dreadnought, Trixler, and Michael Udall. And Dreadnought, looking at last series, Team Dignitas seemed to have eaten their Polish Wheaties this morning.
They did come out swinging, but it was also, I feel like, expected. At least from my perspective, that was a lot of what I expected here from Team Dignitas. And I'm happy to see that, even with, Tempo Storm being as successful as they were within North America, it's still the assumption that we all had for Dignitas and their power level holds true. I appreciate that standout and that they can perform at the LAN.
Trick, do you agree?
Yeah, Wheaties with strawberries, great for Dignitas. I will say when I'm looking at Tempo Storm, I'm 2 parts, 1 disappointed and 2 kind of happy they stuck with their guns. It seems like, okay, we have a meta, we want to run it, it didn't work out. So I hope they find their footing as we go through the rest of the couple of lower bracket matches and see if they can find something to work, because honestly, I was expecting more in that match.
Well, as a 3-0 loss, Mike, that's pretty difficult. I was kind of hoping maybe Tempo Storm could at least take that 1 victory on Cursed to give them a mentality boost, a motivation boost going forward, but where do you put them mentality-wise now after losing that 3-0, because you had talked about it before, that second game was devastating.
Yeah, I mean, just watching the player interactions after game 2 just makes me very hesitant to say it's in a good place. Obviously, it's in a really bad place. I mean, any loss is hard, but I just feel like, the way it looked like they were, talking, it came off as very argumentative, which is never a good sign, right? Like, I feel like they really need to rally. After a loss, that's the most important thing, is you rally together and, continue to respect and trust your teammates, because once that trust and respect is gone, you pretty much lose every chance of winning. So I feel like the way that they solve that is just recognize, okay, we've kind of done what we wanted to accomplish. Yes, we want to win, but like, it's a win in our books, right? We made it to the finals. That's something that Cattle did mention before. They wanted to make it to that. So I feel like they just need to put it into perspective, right? Yes, a loss sucks, but put it into perspective, you've still done amazing this tournament.
Well, let's take a look at what Team Dignitas and what everyone else who are still here at the Western Clash will be fighting for today, along with the trophy and the first place prize of $30,000, although there is a total $100,000 prize pool. There is also the idea of having the extra slot at the mid-season brawl for your region. Gale Force Esports over there is still rooting for North America for that, but Dreadnought Team Dignitas, they are well on their way to being able to claim that for Europe.
Yeah, I think it's because of the success and again that power level and being confirmed. I feel like in that last series here, I think it's kind of projected at this point. It would be more of an upset if North America would be able to get that, but I feel like, the North American pride in me still wants to hold on to the dream and not let it become the meme, but it does feel like the odds just getting slimmer and slimmer as the tournament furthers through.
Yeah, it feels like Team Dignitas is dropping fewer and fewer games as we move every step through the bracket, which is pretty terrifying to the final 3 teams who are left here. Now we do drop down to the lower bracket from here on out until we get to the grand finals, and Team Dignitas have that extra game advantage in the best of 7 grand finals guaranteed by making it through unscathed. But Trixler, last time we saw Zealots and Fnatic face off, which is where we're at right now in the schedule, Zealots won, and it was a pretty big upset, or so it felt. Do you feel strength-wise that these teams are about where they were before? Do you give the edge?
It's for Fnatic. Obviously, you have the linchpin of, okay, they're playing with a sub, but everyone's kind of on top of the Sonic train. They believe he is someone that can fill in for Fnatic. And so far, it's looked like it too, especially yesterday with Breeze really running the charge on that Diablo a few times and having the follow-up damage. They're looking great. But the question mark always hovers around Zealots. Ever since their inception as a team, you never know where they are. They don't know either. They woke up this morning and they were talking on Twitter, they're like, do we get a coin out and flip for how good we're going to play today? If we get heads, we're going to play good. If we get tails, not so much. And I'm actually really curious what they bring to the table, because Mobstio this morning said that it's time to pull out ADRD's book, and none of them have read the book. But not because he won't allow them to see it, because he has really bad handwriting.
Really?
Yes.
Speaking of handwriting, did you just actually draw the question mark you were talking about?
Yeah, it's one of my things. How my brain works, man. I just write things down, dabble a little bit.
Well, let's do it. Let's welcome to the stage Fnatic and Zealots for the first lower bracket matchup as we head toward the grand finals. Now, as we're talking about Zealots, those Zealots lost to Tempo Storm in their first series, Dreadnought. they still ended up beating Team 12 and in that unique style that we know and love from the Zealots.
It is something that they're going to have to be depending on, I think, here against Fnatic. The biggest change, I feel like, when looking at this tournament overall is that a lot of the teams, especially the clash and the questions we asked yesterday about which meta is right and wrong, we are kind of concluding on that there is an agreement, you know, what is the power level of Maiev, and that's something that I think is kind of an advantage for Fnatic because they're drafting and they're kind of what do they want to have is going to be more clear, but then also it brings a bigger question mark because then I think Zealots are going to be more, you know, able to assume what Fnatic's draft is going to be, and therefore that book should be extra special here for Zealots.
Well, I mean, that's one thing I want to know is Fnatic's drafts versus, you know, versus Heroes were very linear yesterday, right? They did pretty much the same thing every single game. They picked up that ETC in the 1-2, and then he would either flex into they would flex into a second tank later on and generally put Breeze on either a Diablo and a Nubrak, and they pick up the Lee Ming, the Greymane, either an Uther or a Malfurion to follow up. So basically, all they showed in that second match was we run kill comps, which is something we've always known about Fnatic. So going into this, Zealots, you know, knows that Fnatic likes that one strategy, but I'm sure they still have other strats up their sleeve.
Yeah, things that we've seen already this weekend that we have somehow let slip by is a tracer play from Chris. He has been dominant on that hero this weekend, as well as Shad showing up with Stukov. I would say, after seeing this weekend, he's the best Stukov we've seen.
I agree. The use out of his 13 talent to get the root, we've seen multiple times where it's not almost, it's never really getting a kill, but it is drawing so many resources from a support that it makes the next fight, as long as it happens within the next minute, very, very crippled for their opponent. So I'm looking for that lurking arm as well in this series.
Mike, you talk about the linear drafting of Fnatic versus Heroes Hearth Esports. Is that going to be possible, that they're still able to draft what they want to run, what they're guaranteed to play confidently, like they did yesterday, when they feel like at any moment ADRD and the Zealots can bust out some kind of strategy that they might need to counter?
I mean, I generally feel like the best strategy in draft is focus on yourself, right? I feel like so many teams get lost in this, okay, we can't let them do this or this or this. So I would just like to see Fnatic, you know, do what's tried and true. You were so successful on that strategy yesterday, and the reason that I feel like it was always given to them as draft is because of that Maiev, right? That Maiev is kind of has to be banned versus Fnatic. Mene showed how strong he is on that hero, which allows them to go into that other style of draft. So I feel like that's something that Zealots is going to have to respect. They're going to have to ban that Maiev, and it is difficult. I mean, they're going to get the ETC in the 1-2, right? And there's nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah.
For me personally, I don't think I have any concerns for the drafting of Zealots whatsoever. Every European team says Zealots can draft on any day whatsoever. It's just a matter of whether they show up to play the mechanical skill to follow up with their composition.
The biggest thing on that note, like, yes, I agree with you. Like, the Zealots has a better chance in the draft than I feel like you maybe Mike kind of alluded to. I think that is without a doubt the strength for them. But I can't help but feel like I'm afraid of how passive they might be if they end up being successful by getting those counters out. You know, I feel like they oftentimes get an advantage and then fail to be able to get as much as they need out of those situations. And I want to see them get aggressive against Fnatic on that level.
Well, let's see where they might be able to get aggressive versus Fnatic as we start looking at the Battleground pool for this best of 5. And lest we forget, both of these teams were knocked down to the lower bracket by Tempo Storm, the team who is waiting for the victor of this series. Both of these teams guaranteed to want revenge versus NA's last hope in this tournament. We're going to Volskaya Foundry after Zealots ban Infernal Shrines, and Fnatic take away Zealots' pick of Sky Temple.
Okay, something I want to know. I was also there for breakfast with Mopsio, and Mopsio said very confidently that Fnatic was going to ban their Volskaya because they're incredibly strong on it. He didn't go into specifics of, you know, what drafts they like to do, but he said they've been destroying Fnatic is basically how he said it. On Volskaya, they've been destroying on that map. So Fnatic letting it through, I mean,
I'm very curious now to see what we're going to get because they were boasting Mopsio. I do feel like he kind of leans a little bit towards being what's the word I'm looking for? Aggressive on his statements. Like, okay, we can do this, we got this, right? He's super confident. So I kind of want to see that actually come out into play here as we go into game of number 1, with it being Volskaya Foundry, and then talking about the scrims and all the success that they've had.
Do you agree that Sky Temple for Zealots is scarier even than Volskaya Foundry, or do you feel like Fnatic have maybe a better grasp of how to counter Zealots there?
I mean, it's just one of those battlegrounds that you look at the stats and you're like, okay, this is their outlier. This is where they are doing well.
Sure.
And so they just go for the easy ban on Sky Temple. Zealots have been phenomenal on that battleground. They have been decisive in their wins. And so Fnatic with that ban, not too shabby for them. Tassadar and Genji ban first.
I mean, I really want to focus on that Tassadar ban. My F pick is amazing for Fnatic, but that Tassadar ban there's been no Tassadar priority on this, this entire Western Clash. This screams to me Fnatic saying, okay, there is some really scary strategy that Zealots plays with Tassadar, and we don't want to deal with it. And the Tracer Blaze coming out for Zealots, maybe it is that Task Tracer that Zealots is just really strong on this map, and they didn't want to deal with the Task.
It's just ADRD in general. If he has the option to move into Tassadar and enable Chris, he will pick up that hero. We've seen it multiple times. If Malfurion will be up, they will still even go into Tracer Tassadar. Fnatic, knowing this, just gets rid of it.
But there's something interesting adjusting from Zealots draft yesterday into this one. And even with the Tassadar removed, normally we've seen with the Maiev, Tyrael is a big focus. Yesterday, Zealots, even when Maiev wasn't on the battlefield at all, picked Tracer Tyrael in their 1-2 for Zealots on this map. So suddenly they're making an adjustment here just based on the fact that Blaze was able to make it through and that they think that is worth it over the Tyrael, even with Maiev available through this draft. I feel like that's a risk that I don't know if I would have taken against Fnatic in their team fight.
I just want to note that ever since Fnatic lost 2 games to Tempo Storm's Maiev, we have not seen her be available to play. It is objectively seen as the highest tier pick that you could possibly get. And because of that, it's every time a second pick team, it's left up to them. They have to ban it, and that's how we can tell that.
Yeah, well, look at this Stukov pick coming out by Fnatic. That screams to me respect. We saw the power of the Stukov for Zealots. And look, Malfurion and Uther are both up, who have been the 2 highest prioritized supports in this game, at this Western Clash. And they just decided we'd rather not play against the Stukov coming out from Shad. So I like it. And the Medivh ban as well, just basically saying, okay, we know these are things you like, Tassadar and Medivh, we don't want to deal with it.
Fnatic is coming out and dismantling what is normal for Zealots. Tassadar taken away, Medivh is a backup plan, Stukov, which is their ace in the hole for this weekend, and they're saying, okay, Zealots, what do you have? What are you bringing to the table? And I was about to bring this up, the Abathur. ADRD has played it way too often this weekend, and he'll get it once again. Now, I am curious about the Johanna. I was expecting maybe a Garrosh mix in again. We've seen a lot of Garrosh from Mobsteel, but the Johanna will give them wave clear, and also a nice front line to stand on top of that point.
It's going to allow more survivability as well to deal with the Stukov ETC threat. Johanna can play a bit safer if she is effective with the Iron Skin use, but I do feel like I would like to see at least whatever the last pick is for Zealots to be something over synergistic with the Condemn and find a way to make a play, because generally speaking, having Johanna, even as a secondary warrior, is very, very crippling. Yeah, Blaze is kind of a jack of all trades, can do a lot and make up for what most warriors can't do, but I don't think it makes up for that pick at this point in the game. And so maybe a Junkrat to map control like very, very heavily and manipulate and then wait for that Abathur to be a problem, but either way, I just want to see something get that follow-up.
They need the support, though.
Yeah.
I mean, something to note.
If it's damage light.
I forgot, but it's so damage light. At this point, I'm like, hey, do you want the support or do you want more damage?
Oh, unless.
Don't hit me with that.
You can support by
solo support Abathur is a thing.
It is. It's
Dig
true.
Granite.
It's true.
Not like this.
I mean, Malfurion's up. He's made it through this entire draft so far.
Uther.
Oh, wow.
Well. Yeah, and it's great with Tracer. It's great with Blaze. You have the mix-up.
Yeah.
Not a bad pick at all. But we have seen Abathur-only composition. You are correct in that regard.
Okay, so I feel like we've been focusing a lot on the Zealots draft, but Fnatic, their comp is so scary. Like, they got literally everything they wanted. If you're telling me, Fnatic, what we saw from them yesterday, this is basically the exact same thing, except, they have a Maiev, so even better, right?
Right.
It is a very scary composition coming out from them. I feel like Zealots kind of has to pick something like an Uther or Rhaegar. You need to be able to save someone, and I think the reason they picked Johanna is because they were afraid of this. They knew that their front line is going to be CC chained, and that unstoppable coming out from Johanna is probably why they picked it up. But saying with Dread, it's not enough damage. Like, that's what I'm afraid of. Yeah. Is even though your Johanna's not going to die, you're not going to kill anything either.
Zealots thinking about it here. Karazim is a last second option.
They're waiting.
It's going to be the Uther.
Interesting.
I mean, you have to, right? The number of stuns for the side of Fnatic.
Well, protection.
Like the Uther is going to get so much value from the armor, but is it enough? I don't know.
I feel like
that's your job to just
I know, right? I really don't think it is. I feel like Fnatic has such a scary composition. I think they came out, and I loved their bans, right? I loved the Task Medivh and the takeaway of the Stukov, just basically saying, we know you. We know what you like, Zealots. We know you were going to take us to Volsky, and we have a plan with it. And I feel like they executed that draft plan amazingly.
I can't help but feel like on the back half of that, it got, obviously pretty awkward for Zealots. And where was the breaking point into the draft, especially with the Maiev being available? And we've talked about the objective power. She's destroying this tournament. Stukov pick. You talked about it being picked up high. I can't help but feel like that was the thing that they expected to get on the back half that really kind of made them go, wait a minute, now we have to adjust. Then you see the Johanna come in, then you go, wait, we're 2 damage light. How do we make up for this? So at first I was like, this Stukov, is that worth that kind of resource? But at least for right now, it looks like it had a huge impact towards Zealots in that draft. And it is scary. It looks like they have to completely rely on macro control, which judging by how we've seen teams talk about Volskaya Foundry, that's not something you can depend on anymore. So it's scary.
And that Stukov, as we've seen like at GCWC, it pairs really nicely into already what Fnatic have been running yesterday. So it was a brilliant adaptation and adjustment. It shows that Fnatic has been planning, and now we gotta go through the difficult predictions after that draft.
I think you know where my prediction is. Fnatic all the way.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's not difficult to actually look at this draft and say Fnatic all the way. They have the Maiev ETC combo that we've seen already work this weekend. The Stukov takeaway was brilliant. I'm with them on this.
I completely agree. Fnatic, they have aggressive team fighting composition and it's got a lot of strengths, and the Stukov takeaway, I think it's gonna hurt Zealots.
Yeah, difficult for me because I knew that it was gonna be for Fnatic both. I'm sorry, Zealot, but Fnatic played that absolutely beautifully. But no, there have been a lot of European fans, in my opinion, though. There's also 3 European teams to the 1 North American team, so I wanted to see what the votes were going to be. A lot of faith in Zealots to get to win the rematch versus Fnatic. Let's head to the casting desk with Vandy and Jayhow for Game 1 between Fnatic and Zealots.
Well, Vandy, it looks like Fnatic got a lot of what they wanted, and it seems like they had ADRD in mind with their bans. Is the Abathur enough for ADRD?
I don't know. I mean, I'm unconvinced. I'm looking at Fnatic's draft and it looks scary strong. However, chat thinks otherwise, favoring the Zealots for this game. We have to also ask, we are on home turf for Zealots. They've played this one and they've started to get a couple wins. Let's see how they do.
Let's see how they do as we've got Chris on Tracer, Zarmany on Blaze, ADRD on Abathur, Mopsio on Johanna, and Shad on Uther with our 2 Polish players. Give it up for Zealots on blue.
And we have the other European team, Fnatic, with Mene playing Maiev, Bad Benny on ETC, Breeze playing Anubrak, Smexy on Stukov, and Sonic on Li Ming.
Sonic on Li Ming was something I talked about when you and I were talking about this at the end of the last series on having Sonic on some comfort heroes with that front line of Benny and Breeze. Seems like that's where he excels the most, and they got him on there. Maiev obviously back in this draft again, and here it starts, right here, right now.
Look at that silence right now. Onto Mopsio. He's dropping incredibly low. He does manage to get away. The brawl is still going. Sonic, he's very, very dangerously low. They've sent 5 mid, and I haven't seen this in a long time, Jayhow. I
mean, why not? Just go full QM style. Everybody runs mid, has a good time. They almost got the blow up. And if that's not Johanna, that's probably a dead hero, and they were so close to getting a few more. But Zealots showed a little bit of fight in themselves as well to try and almost get a kill themselves.
I mean, things that we also want to look at here. Mene, he's busted out that Maiev twice now with great results. So much so that it started, as we said, we didn't see it till the Tempo Storm series and then just completely banned. Teams just saying, no, it's just too much for us to deal with. We don't want to let you have that power. I'm really interested to see what's Zealot's game plan heading into this one.
Yeah, the game plan obviously is going to have to develop as we go through with Abathur. You can see the mines down there. It's going to disrupt, keep vision. But one thing that has been consistent throughout the weekend is when we do see Maiev through, Johanna seems to be that answer. Having that Iron Skin available on a 20-second cooldown, obviously not going the extra cooldown at level 1, but having that cooldown, Johanna seems to be the counter that people are most comfortable with trying to deal with that Maiev.
I also do like that Smexy was the one to take away that Stukov. We've seen Shad just get too much value out of that, and I feel like it's going to hamper Zealot's team composition just a little bit because we've seen them so practice playing it for quite a few games back-to-back in succession. Now they're forced to adapt a little bit. Chris did get his Tracer, however, and as we sort of, even the analyst desk was complimenting, he's done some stellar plays.
Yeah, and we actually saw him on Tracer on this battleground before, and he was dominant with it. He's been dominant throughout. It's kind of crazy the way that, we kind of view Chris now. It was always like, is Chris really, as good as people say he is? He's a very popular person here in Heroes of the Storm, and throughout the early part of HGC this year and in this tournament, he is proving why he is one of the best, not just in Europe anymore, not just in the Western region, but potentially one of the best in the world as Zealots trying to move forward here in the first Western Clash of 2018.
Oh, I like this. The Pulse Bomb going out onto Smexy now. He is going a little bit low, and Mopsio gets pulled into the team. So much damage being traded, and yet still no kills. They have so much sustain available, so that even Chris's Pulse Bomb did get him low, but there was just no follow-up to finally secure that kill.
And that's actually going to be a key point for Chris going forward. You're going to get the scaling of that pulse bomb going up. Mene, nice follow-up stun there. See the brief silence is Chris able to get out of there, but that is going to be a thing. You look for that bio kill switch to go out from Smexy on that backside. You look for the bio kill switch, and when the health bars kind of burst up, right? It's on a long cooldown. You look for those to go down, you find somebody, you whittle them down, and then you try and capitalize. But as the analyst team pointed out, we're a little bit lacking in terms of damage, especially pre-10, because it's double warrior with a solo tracer and an Abathur. Once we get post-level 10, I think those opportunities will definitely be there a little bit more often.
Look at the cheeky slug. ADRD, he managed to cap that point for the time being. Fnatic onto the point to start trying to contest it. This is where it will decide the tone. We've always talked about how much now with the changes coming into Volskaya Foundry, the Protector can give you such a boost into trying to snowball this game.
Definitely a big boost, and ADRD and team, they found a way to make it work in yesterday's series. They're going to see if they can do it again today. Nice impale there to disrupt the rotations up of Zarmany and Chris as they come on. And right now, Zealots still controlling this point, and Fnatic, they're just trying to get level 7.
Fnatic, they want to get that all-important talent here, and you can already see we've got 80% on this cap. I'm looking at Zealots now. They're looking quite strong, Jay Howe. The positioning as well. You can see Breeze, he's trying to go there. That pulse bomb goes and he gets the kill.
You find that opportunity and you take it. And that's exactly what Chris did. Nice to just kind of say, hey, you know, we're talking about Chris a little bit. He comes out, he's like, yeah, don't worry. Just give me a minute. I got you. Goes in, there's going to be one wall down, and you can imagine Zealots, they're going to be trying to do a lot more off of this. They're trying to open this up. The experience, when you see the Protector picked up, it was just about level 8. You've got Abathur that can soak in the lanes. Blaze dealing with the bottom lane. The push has been so much, and the experience, we're about to hit 10 real quick.
And immediately the Protector goes into that top lane, and we've sort of talked about why it can be so advantageous to send it this way. The next control point spawns at the top, and if you can take down that well, or even better yet, that fort, it sets you up so nicely for the next control point. But also what I wanted to point out, that Abathur, because of the Protector being taken, Fnatic, I feel there was just not that much defense going around. And Breeze, he was looking to see if he could interrupt, get a bit of stall happening, but he paid the price. They probably weren't expecting that.
Oh, we've got a hat here. Benny in a little bit of trouble. He's going to turn around, see if he can bait somebody in, but Mopsio's come around. Benny's going to get caught out here. Benny, I'm not sure what he planned to accomplish there, but there was nobody in sight to give him that added protection. That is 2 kills in favor of Zealots, and we also have level 10 on board.
Zealots already starting to cement a very nice experience lead for themselves, as well as being able to play aggressively with that level 10 talent acquired. I'm also starting to get a little bit worried by Fnatic. I know their composition is reliant so heavy around that 10, but you do have that Maiev for that early kill pressure. We have yet to see it, and the big factor of that is due to the Abathur's map pressure.
The Abathur map pressure, and it was something with Abathur in general that I was trying to figure out. I expect these teams to fight a lot and Fnatic to force a lot of that, but what happens if you don't have the bodies to go after? And the bodies that you do have, Johanna's got an unstoppable. Tracer is near impossible to track down, and Blaze, he's just kind of chilling, doing his thing. So finding the fights early game, I think, are tough for Fnatic. When we get to the next control points and level 10, I think that's where Fnatic might try and turn up the heat themselves.
Yeah, as I said, a lot of what Fnatic's composition relies upon is that all-important level 10. Just surprised that they hadn't used that early kill pressure. But as I said, it's very, very difficult. The way Zealots have drafted is very, very smart. And we also know that Blaze, trying to come up against him in that lane, constantly we're seeing Abathur on the top, Blaze at the bottom. You've got that constant pressure on both lanes. And then once you've got that Protector in the middle lane, you're spread so thin trying to go, which lane do we address first?
One thing that's coming out here, the lack of damage will sometimes trade up your build just a little bit. We actually see going into the stab build, making sure you get that extra range, get that extra damage for Abathur at level 7. If Zealots was watching the previous series, Snitch at 13 ended up going that extra charge on the stab and the reduced cooldown. Now, generally, we see the heal on that with the Soma Transference at 13. But maybe Zealots saw Snitch earlier, and they might be going into a little bit more damage-oriented Abathur themselves.
Seeing that, I was watching Benny, and he has opted for that stage. I have massive shove now coming out by Smexy to make sure that they can secure their camp, but you can already see Zealots, they use that slight window of opportunity to constantly put pressure on that fort. It's dangerously low.
They got it, and the key part was making sure to get the minions out of there. That way that Zarmany could not stand under there. You kill the minions, now all of a sudden the primary target's going to be there. The camp was just outside of range of that. They cleared that. They hold it for now, but with level 13 quickly approaching, as well as the next control point, Fnatic is actually in a tough spot, a much tougher spot than I anticipated here about 8 minutes in.
Fnatic, you can see them, they're waiting. However, it'll be a team fight that decides this, Jay-How. Yes, they will be fighting against an uneven talent tier advantage, but you can't count them. There's just so much kill pressure that's ready to go. You've got the Cocoon, you have the stage dive, you also have Warden's Cage. Something you just really need to respect that.
With Blaze at the bottom, Bad Benny goes stage dive, so I don't think there's too much of a threat here. I'd be surprised if Fnatic just kind of easily gives this away. Maev's going in. There's the stun. They're going to see if they can get the paint train. The Warden's Cage is down. Shad's caught in there, but Mopsio coming in on the backside with Zarmany. All of a sudden, we've got a stage dive coming in. That's instantly met by a pulse bomb for Bad Benny.
And then finally, the Cocoon going out onto Chris. He is in the backline. You got Mopsio. They're going to disengage now. Wait for Chris to pop out of that Cocoon. Mene, he's low. He's looking around at the flanks, but for now, no kills are traded.
No kills at all, and just like that, Zealots took that team fight. Maev goes in, tries to control that point, but with Blaze and team kind of coming up, Zarmany and Mopsio, that's a lot of frontline control to deal with, and they just aren't able to get back there. They don't have the same follow-up stun opportunities just yet. Fnatic, after what we saw in the dismantling in their series last night, they have been unable to find a single opportunity to confirm a kill yet.
Not yet. I mean, this has just been a bit tough for them. We saw them throwing out a couple of heroics, testing them. They didn't want to overcommit because, as I said, they don't have that level 13 talent tier advantage yet. They don't want to fall further behind. But with this Protector now, you also just can't give it up for free. They are very, very close to level 13. And I'm hoping once they pick that up, it's not too far off, you'll see them try to take another fight.
Yeah, I think as long as they can send this into overtime, which is the main thing, they'll try. But I don't think that they'll defend too harsh. Breeze getting a little bit controlled there. Mene poking away, understands that his only real threat is the pulse bomb. He has that vault on a 9-second cooldown, so he's going to hold on to that, making sure. But Bad Benny, on the other hand, is taking some damage, not able to confirm that kill. Bad Benny walks away for now as Fnatic and team, they're going to have to retreat as the Protector has now been picked up for Zealots.
Without 13 being able to be picked up in time, that punished Fnatic heavily. You can say they started to play very, very passively going into that team fight, not wanting to let down. As you said, they didn't want to overcommit and just sort of loses.
They've got their eyes on Chris. If he passes through here, they're going to go. They get the stun, they get the silence, they get it.
Beautiful stuff.
Beautiful bait there by Fnatic and team. They finally found the opportunity. Zealots, however, did get another structure down. They now have all 3 forts down. And with this Protector, they're only going to be able to take it so far. It's sitting at 93% health. They'll try and soften up the lane as best they can, but I'd be surprised if they get much more out of this.
Yeah, Chris falling, exactly right, Jay-How. That was a great pick and one that we really wanted to see Fnatic make to keep them in this. But Benny is getting mowed down by the Protector.
I don't know if anybody knows this, but the Protector was buffed recently, and that bad boy dishes out some serious damage. And now with that kill, we've got the opportunity for Zealots and team to just kind of go in. They're taking up a keep wall. And right now, Vandy, Fnatic's going to have to get 16. If they lose another Protector, they're going to lose a keep. And Zealots is going to be dangerously close to 20 by the time the next control point. And if they get the Protector after that, to where this is a scary time for Fnatic to get back into this game.
Look at the structural damage. Look at the value that the Protector got. As you said, yeah, Chris had fallen, but they managed to do what they wanted. They got the experience out of those structures, and it's given them that level 16 talent, giving them such a huge advantage. You can already see Chris, he's on the flank now, having to duck out, stage dive coming in.
Stage dive's coming in, and Stukov is already down in this. The pulse bomb will be available momentarily. Look for Chris to try and make something happen, so we see a Nubarak fall. Mene does have that vault. It's going to save him, and now they get the counter kill onto Chris. Mene trying to get away is not going to make it. That's 3 members down. Make it 4. Bad Benny running for his life. You can see Mopsio and team are in pursuit, trying to take down the 5th member, but Bad Benny healing up. Mopsio taking the shots from the keep, but now minions have moved in. Look for this keep to go down.
Chris didn't even mind that he fell out of that. Jay-How, they're going to get a keep out of this, and it's such an early keep to take. That pressure now, that bottom lane, once that Protector comes, it's an open pathway to the core.
It's an open pathway. With the new Protector changes, it's kind of hard to say, yes, you can end the game. Yes, you might be able to end the game. We just haven't had enough data yet with the Protector buffs. We're seeing it here at the Western Clash. It is a terrifying thing to deal with. It is incredibly strong. But if you get this at the 14, 15-minute mark, is it going to be enough? I think the other thing to kind of compound that issue, Zealots will likely be 20 if they can win that next Protector, but Fnatic still an easy chance as they'll be 16 soon to try and defend.
Yeah, I like that point that you make. It's not going to be, we get the Protector, we insta-win. No, you also have to remember 2 team members go into that Protector, and we saw yesterday as well. With Glaurung, there was a play happening when Jun was in that Protector. He almost got blown up, and that's something that you also need to respect. If your healer is in that Protector just sort of raises a couple questions. Who's going to siege with you? And it's all about making sure that you can get that kill pressure, as with any objective, before you push onto that core.
See if they can make it happen. Fnatic now at 16. I think the scary part if you're Fnatic is that Abathur is on the other side. Generally, you can say, look, we've got the global with ETC. We can keep up with the trade. But Abathur, if you send 4 people down on the control point, if you're Zealots, Abathur can soak multiple lanes by using that symbiote. That will get them 20 in the long run. That's why the level 20 talent tier is so scary. Fnatic is going to have to try and force something, I think, in the next few moments before the next control point becomes active.
Mopsio playing so patiently like he did yesterday, waiting and delaying their camp capture as long as possible. They want that next control point to activate before they make any play for that. There is a little bit of vision, I guess, camping by Fnatic around this support camp. Because as we know, it can give you such an advantage into those teamfights. They're wondering, does Zealots want to make a play for it?
Right now, Bad Benny is going to hide on the map, look for an opportunity. They have no idea where ETC is at, so there's not a lot they can do. Good use of Iron Skin as Mopsio walks away. Just kind of shines a flashlight in the eyes of Breeze saying, get out of here.
Hey, what are you doing over there? Get off my lawn. But yeah, I love that disengage by sending the Johanna out. We want to figure out where is Fnatic before we make it, because we saw Chris with that rotation. He got picked off. You're not going to fall for that again.
The one thing I think if you're on the side of Fnatic is that the catapults are pushing the bottom lane, which means that you can easily defend them here in the lane. I think the other thing is that Abathur has a camp that's going to be pushing top lane. So the positioning of ETC will be, you know, kind of tricky. I don't think Abathur's going to try and push that lane out by himself. There's no need to. And for Zealots, all they need to do is soak 20. There's no reason for them to take this fight at all. But Chris and team, they're coming in for an aggressive flank. I think he's second guessing this. I think they're playing the long game.
Yeah, Fnatic finally able to take that control point. And with that, it has now forced Chris, what he's doing, I like this. It's nice. He's trying to free up this lane, get that catapult pressure going. But oh my goodness, right down here.
That's not a good spot for Zealots to be in. We're going to see if we get the stage dive in. Divine Shield is already out. Blaze trying to survive as Zarmany walks away. Mopsio, though, is caught down here with several members of Fnatic, but Mopsio somehow staying alive. Chris coming in, drops the bomb onto Li Ming, and there's the bomb to open it.
I was so worried for Zarmany there, but no need. Benny is the next to fall. We see Mene, he's so low. He's trying to use the vault to buy a couple more seconds. Breeze also falls at the same time. Chris, they're looking at this last kill onto Spexy. Fnatic was in overtime, but Zealots with that team fight. Chris arriving at the perfect time saying, cheers, love, the cavalry's here.
The cavalry's here, and the cavalry is running directly to the core. ADRD will channel this kind of as a backup option, but with 25 seconds left on the shortest death timer here for Fnatic, they are going to go directly to core. Do not pass go, 12 kills to 2. It looks like the hunted in this series just became the hunter.
And I mean, I just wanted to also bring out something a little bit surprising. I was just having a look at the experience soak because we were saying with Fnatic, with Zealots also being able to get so far ahead. Zealots, Zarmany netting 14k XP to ADRD's 12k experience, J-How. That's how they managed to get such a wide lead over Fnatic and keep it.
Yeah, a lot of experience soak all around for Zealots, and I think that Trixler actually brought up a pretty good term earlier in the series is the guerrilla tactics. It's like, look, we're going to find opportunities, we're going to pick you apart, but we're not going to let you just come directly to us. We're not going to meet you face to face in the middle of the battleground. That's what Fnatic wants, and it seems like this composition of Zealots worked out really well for them.
It absolutely did. Zealots now really making Volskaya Foundry a map that's their own now. I mean, traditionally speaking, they didn't have the best record heading into the Western Clash, but I'm seeing their strategy, I'm seeing their plays, and soon, Volskaya Foundry in the next phase of the HGC, I think this is going to be one of Zealot's stronger maps.
Well, we heard Michael Udall say that Mopsio was like, hey, look, this is our best battleground. We don't expect to even get this battleground, and Fnatic thought they had a plan for it. I think that plan might have backfired for Fnatic, so a bit surprising that they gave that up, but I imagine with Fnatic, they've got a lot of tricks up their sleeve. Some other battlegrounds they'll probably be more comfortable on.
It was. I mean, they were willing to sacrifice the battleground to get that Maiev as well, and, sacrifice the... You know what I mean. But I really liked the way Zealots, they were just so dominating, using that early game advantage and then also utilizing the macro to make sure that the experience that they gained was not being lost. But we'd love to hear the analysis, Des, thoughts on this game.
4 of us sat here and said Fnatic outdrafted the hell out of Zealots, and Zealots proved us wrong, saying, Maiev, who?
Maiev is probably still a problem.
Probably.
I don't know if that game is indicative of the actual individual strength there, as much as it is, you know, I feel like that was more highlighting the why Zealots is expected that to be a perma ban immediately. You know, there's questionable decisions, I feel like, on the side of Fnatic, but I want to reiterate that I'm still looking at Maiev and I go, I don't know how much he's going to be let through this tournament.
Mike, what do you got to show us?
I mean, so it's the one time I feel like in the entire game where Fnatic actually executes really well. Can you pause? So I feel like this game, Fnatic really struggled with lining up their abilities, which has been what they're best at in the entire series. So I just want to highlight, you know, why they're so good at it. So what you're seeing here, and this is actually a beautiful play coming out from Breeze, Sonic, and Smexy, is they're just baiting the Tracer. So Tracer is right here off screen, and she's going to rotate down here. And basically what she's doing is she's clearing the wave and then rotating down. So Breeze is just waiting here, and he's actually going to hit a blind stun onto the Tracer as she's running across this bush, and Sonic and Smexy are going to instantly follow up. So slow motion roll through. So Tracer rotating down here, coming mid. Breeze, look at that, just timing it, timing the mount. Sonic with the follow-up, and they blow up the Tracer. But as I said, I feel like that was the only time in the entire game that Fnatic perfectly lined up their abilities. And I feel like, you know, with that kind of a draft, you have to be doing that the entire game. And it was a beautiful in that situation. Like, I just really wanted to highlight, that's Fog of War, right? They don't see Tracer, because everyone's like, oh, that's easy, right? You see the Tracer. No, Tracer was blind. That's like a blind stun coming out by Breeze, blind follow-up coming out by Smexy, and I just really like that play.
For me personally, I just feel like Zealots exist to spite the world when it comes to compositions and what we know about this game. Like, they got a lead in out of their composition. They were able to grab the Protectors. They shut down a Maiev composition, and Li Ming got 0 value. And they won a team fight that I felt like in the bottom lane that Fnatic was set up for really well. They were able to sneak 2 assassins to the side bush on the left side. Chris was going for a split push, which in theory means their damage is missing, which should allow for Fnatic to win that fight. And they still won that one as well. Zealots, I don't know where this came from, but they're looking mighty dominant.
And when I looked at the draft, I was looking at the Condemn, right? And I was like, something synergistic and have it there, but I can't help but highlight Zarmany on the jet propulsion for the Blaze. There was a couple of times where you would see the Condemn come in and really making sure having the timing to get that follow-up.
Right.
It was a big problem for Fnatic, and so much so that it didn't feel like they ever had an answer to be able to deal with it.
Zarmany's improvement throughout part 1 has been continued to surprise and impress me. There were a lot of times that he was caught out in part 1